Before we get started with the actual show, I want to thank everybody for coming. It means a lot to Matt and I. We were kind of nervous. We're like, we hope people show up, but so really thankful you guys are here. I'll just give you a quick rundown of Season the Lobby and how the show came to be. The WNBA bubble season, everybody stayed in one location, from the refs, the coaches, players, support staff. So you were running into people. Diana Taurasi in one of the games got into it with the ref, like she always does, and she told the ref she would see him in the lobby. Matt and I work together for a company called Gaming Society. He's actually a Terp, so we like him extra. But him and I, both being women's basketball fans, wanted to do something for the game that you see on the men's side, where it talks about the pop culture. It gets more behind just the X's and O's, something which you see on TNT with Shaq, Kenny, and the guys. So that's really how See You in Lobby came to be. Very excited to be here and to share it with you guys. So welcome to the lobby. All right, Matt, let's go.
Is it time? Welcome to the first ever live taping of See You in the Lobby. It's great to see all of y'all here. I am really lucky to be next to my friend Marissa Coleman, and we also have special guests who y'all probably also know, Crystal Langhorn. The champions are here.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited about the game tonight too. So go Terps as always.
I was going to say, I think we should get right to it because we obviously know this game is massive for a zillion reasons, and we're also like looking for a little revenge, right? Like that first game did not go so hot. I'm wondering, Marissa, what you saw the first time Maryland played Iowa and what needs to switch up tonight?
For me, obviously, Caitlin Clark, Player of the Year candidate, and she's hard to guard. She does everything on the court. It's not going to be up to one player tonight. It's going to be a team effort. You know, you're going to deny her, her assist. You're going to have to crowd her, pick her up 90 feet because she literally can shoot from everywhere. I think something that's going to be important is in your home crowd, you're going to want those heat check shots, so it's not to get in a shooting battle with her. She might come down and hit some crazy shots just after half court, and for us to keep our composure and not try to get into that three-point shooting contest with them.
Mike, what did you say?
Yeah, you're going to have to slow down their big two. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's their post player too, Sonano. So, I mean, we have to play some defense tonight, slow down our offense. I think they're scoring like close to 90 points a game. So it's like you have to slow that down.
How do you stop Caitlin Clark? I think this is the question that pretty much everybody in the country has been trying to find the answer for all year. What can Maryland do differently tonight that maybe they didn't do in round one?
I don't think there is any stopping Caitlin Clark. You just have to try to limit her. She's going to get hers. I mean, she's been in double figures this entire season. She's averaging, 27? There's no stopping her. You just got to contain her. And that's why it's important to limit the touches of other people, like Lang said, the post player. So Caitlin's going to get hers. You can't let everybody else get off, too. One
thing that Maryland has to counter here is we've got a Diamond Miller, which a lot of teams can't say that they have. So Lang, what does Diamond need to bring tonight to pull off the win?
Her energy, first of all, because she's such a high energy player. And then scoring. We need her to have a big game. She could impact the game a lot of ways, but rebounding, defending, we need her to be a leader on the court and kind of lead us to a win.
So who are the other X factors for Maryland tonight? Obviously, we know Diamond is the star, but there are other players who have come on really strong.
I mean, Diamond and Shy, we're always going to get what we get from them. They've been consistent all season. I think in order for us to win tonight, it's going to be a lot from Abby. Abby didn't have the best showing the first game. She plays great here at home, so hoping she can kind of turn around from that first game.
Agreed. Lang, what do we think of what Shy Sellers can bring tonight as well? She's quickly become one of my faves here.
I think she needs to be aggressive. I know sometimes I've seen her play and she could kind of be in a lull, but if she comes out aggressive, playing her game, playing with that tenacity she can play with, I think she'll really impact the game.
We also got to talk about the seeding implications, right? We're almost in March, so we're all starting to think about what this tournament will shape up like, where Maryland will actually place. They're strong enough to maybe even be in one seed consideration should the tournament go how we want it to go. But where can Maryland look if they win this game tonight? How do you proceed and start thinking about where your tournament seeding is?
I think if they win tonight, it's good implications for what's going to come for the tournament. I think we're sitting in great places where we can control our own destiny. I think that's every coach's and team's dream, is heading into March where you're in control. We don't need people to win out or lose for us to do well in the tournament. So that's a great position to be in.
Say, Lane, but do you remember this time for you in this like late February type of stretch where you're starting to think about, well, it wasn't the Big Ten tournament then, but it was the ACC. Different time, but still you're looking towards conference tournament time. Like, what is your mindset as a player going to a big matchup like this?
Just locking in. I mean, every game counts. The different thing with college is, it's one game and you're knocked out. It's not like professionals where you could play a series. So it's like every game is so important when you go out there and play. And especially when you're a senior, it could be your last game of your college career. So that's also a big thing for seniors, especially.
I gotta give you the clown real quick because your voice cracked.
Yeah, we're into this. Listen, I'm not a very loud speaker, so we're rolling with it here.
No, I mean, March is the best time of the year for a basketball player. It's literally like our Christmas season. And like Wayne said, this is what you get up for big games like this. And for the seniors, it's an opportunity to show W scouts how you can handle the pressure and what you're about. And I know there's going to be a lot here tonight to look at Diamond and even Caitlin. So it's opportunity to show all your hard work.
I was going to ask you that too. We didn't even talk about the fact that this is such a big game so late in the season. Scouts are here. Like, W scouts are here. This is the game that everybody wants to see how Diamond and Caitlin both react. Do you remember that? Do you remember when you were in position where you were like, yeah, there's a lot of scouts coming here? Do you remember how you felt or how you prepped?
I was lucky because I was behind Lang and crew, so they had tons of scouts. So like I was able to get those nerves out a year early. So I had prep. So I guess that's more of a question for Lang.
I would say, it's a big deal. I feel like scouts have been at games, so they kind of have a feel. They know who players are. So like this game isn't a make or break for players. But you always want to go into these big games like trying to play well, trying to show GMs what you could do at the next level still.
Not pressure I can handle. So, but we should really talk about the WNBA draft as well. Obviously, again, with the implications of this game, with scouts being here, we already just walked down to see a couple of recognizable names that we know are probably going to look to maybe draft Diamond Miller in a couple of months. Not even a couple of months. I guess it's like
time flies. Can't believe it's already March.
2 months.
March next week.
It's about to be March next week. Marissa, where do you see Diamond's game going at the next level?
I think Diamond's going to be a great pro. I mean, she has the body. She has the athleticism. I'm excited to see her at the next level. I think she has a potential to be, top 3 pick for sure. And her last few games, 32 and 29, she's definitely having a great senior season. So I'm excited to see her at the next level. I think she has opportunity to contribute to whatever team right away.
Lang?
I have to agree with Briss. I think Diamond is she has a pro league body. She's a big, strong guard. She can defend multiple positions. She does a lot of things that when you look at league players, she fits that role. So I see her being very impactful in the league.
And I think the way you see the W going is it's almost positionless. And Matt and I were talking earlier, and like the top players in the W, they're all forwards. It's Stewie, it's John Quayle, it's Deladon. And I think she fits in that. To your point, she can guard every position. She can play multiple positions, and that's kind of how you find success at the next level, is being able to contribute in multiple ways.
I was going to ask, what position do you really think Diamond is going to play at the next level? Because Diamond is a very versatile player.
I still see her. We're talking about this positionless basketball, but I still see her as like a 3, like a wing. I'm sure she'll be able to move around, but that's why I see her still a little bit.
No, I agree. I definitely think she's a wing player 3.
Now I got to ask, it's coming up very quick. Where do you think Diamond will actually land in the draft? Obviously, we've seen her mocked up to number 2. Marissa?
I think she has potential to go at 2, but I think number 3 is a better fit for her based off
Say more.
I just think with what Minnesota has, I think she has a chance to have more impact right away with Dallas.
Yeah, the Dallas
it's Indiana, Minnie, and then in Dallas. I selfishly want her to go where she can contribute more and get more minutes. And Yeah,
I'm just saying, if she went number 2, she'd be the first person from Maryland to go number 2 since somebody else sitting in this room. So
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Lang, where do you see her landing in the draft?
Well, like everyone knows, Aaliyah Boston's going 1. Indiana's not going to play
closed.
around with that one. It kind of depends what teams, because I feel like she can go anywhere from 2 to 4 possibly. Kind of depends what the GM's looking for. It's hard because the league it's so much talent in the league. I look at like positions. It's like Minnesota. They have wing players. Every team has these talented, multi-dimensional players. So it's like, will Minnesota want her as a player? Will Dallas? It just kind of it can go any different way, like a different amount of ways.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, the W for anybody who's not super familiar with the league, it's really hard for even second round, some late first round picks to just make a team based on how small the roster sizes are. So there are only 12 players max on teams. In some cases, only 11 players make the team. I think from the 2021 draft, which was just 2 years ago, we're down to only 4 first-round picks are still on a team. So it's really hard to actually crack a roster. So GMs sort of have to think, if I take this player, will she play now? Because there aren't really that many slots for someone to really develop, which is hard.
Yeah, I feel like that's where you hope for expansion in the league, just because, it is difficult for players to make the team, and it's hard for teams to develop younger players because it's so hard to make a roster. It's so hard to stick on a roster.
I think too, part of the draft this year, because we have the Liberty and the Aces now, the super teams of the W, a lot of teams are looking to next year's draft because they're called, like, they're saying to me one of the best drafts in recent time with Paige and Clark and who else am I missing?
Paige.
We won't say the transfer that went to LSU.
Yeah.
We don't speak that name on See and Live. But there's been a lot of talk in the W community that our team's going to tank this season in hopes of getting some of those stars next year. So I think maybe some GMs are like, oh, okay, maybe we'll pass on this player and hope. I don't know. Well, it's going to see what some teams do.
Well, it's worth mentioning too, because obviously we're here to watch the Terps, but Caitlin Clark is her own show at this point, really taking over in college basketball, maybe the National Player of the Year. How do you see her game progressing? She has at least one more year in college, which is terrifying, but at least one more year in college. But how do you see her game and what she's doing?
So Matt and I, after this, hopefully you guys watch the show often, but we talk about her quite frequently on the show, and I think she is a great player. I think she's going to do well in the W. But
however,
Lang and I talk about this often, is college coaches do their players a disservice when they're like, oh, like her coach said last year she can go in the W and start right away. That's just so disrespectful to the W players. And as Matt just said, there's 144 spots. So literally the best players in the world. So for a coach to say that, they're setting their player up for failure when they come to the league. And she's going to have a target on her back because they're like, oh, her coach said, but oh, she thinks this. But now that I got that out, I think.
But how do you really feel, Marissa?
No, I think she's a great player. I think she impacts the game in many ways. But if you look at historically point guards of her caliber and that do the things she does, it takes them a while to adjust in the W. Look at Kelsey Plum. She struggled. She really just had her coming out party last year. It took Sabrina, a year and some change to get in. So I think she has potential to be a great point guard in the league. I just don't think she's going to have this seamless transition that people think.
I was going to say, go ahead, Blake.
How big is Caitlin Clark?
What, 6'1"? I want to say 6 feet, something around there.
She's interesting because, she's big.
Yeah.
She's a little bit on the thinner side, but she's a big point guard. So when I look at her, it also depends, when you really break it down, can she play off the ball as well? Can she play on the ball? Because sometimes when you look at college players and they constantly have the ball in their hand all the time in college, it's not going to be like that in the WNBA. But if she has the capability of playing the 1, playing the 2, she's big. I think she can. Will she be dropping 40 on people? I don't know. I don't.
Not tonight.
I'm talking even in the league wise. Will she have I don't see that happening, but I do think she could be a good player because she's big, and if she can play off the ball and on the ball, she could have some impact in the league.
Yes, she's what? Diana Taurasi is also about that
6'1".
size,
You
right?
can't compare Taurasi and not even skill wise.
To be
BT
clear,
is big and strong. Like what made her so hard to guard is that she is so strong. Like she uses her body so well.
I think Caitlin Clark would. I mean, when I look at her, she would have to put on a little bit of weight. But she's 6'1", so she'll get stronger as she gets throughout the league. But I'm just looking at her frame. People are going to be way more. You have when I look at the WNBA, it's big physical guards for the most part and kind of leaner posts. So you're going to have guards getting into you every night. Great defenders on you every night. So it's going to be a challenge.
Well, do you guys remember that when you were first starting the league, putting on muscle?
I still had. I know I don't look it now. I don't work out anymore. But I mean, I think we all came into the W pretty strong. Our strength coach, shout out to Corliss, had us doing Olympic lifts and stuff. So I think we were pretty well prepared. But even for I had my welcome to the league moment, and it was in practice. It wasn't even a game. Mo, actually, who happens to be one of my closest friends now.
Money Curry.
Yeah. Throw me to the ground. I'm like, dang, this is different. So it's going to be an adjustment. And also, I don't think people realize she has to guard. And guarding these players at that level, that takes a lot of energy out of you. So you're definitely going to have to play both ends of the floor. She's going to have to guard Chelsea Gray. And then
no, thank you.
Score at the same, so it's different, but she definitely has potential.
That's actually funny. Do you remember your welcome to the league moment? Did you have one?
My whole rookie season was a welcome to the league moment. I struggled so bad my rookie year. I didn't even know if I was going to make it in the league, but I was strong, but I was undersized. I had to change my game a little bit. I had to get away from playing back to the basket and do a lot more face-up because everyone was so big. So my whole rookie year was an adjustment.
I would say, what advice do you think you'd have for maybe a Diamond Miller coming into her first year in a couple months? The craziest thing to me, by the way, we can go into that a little bit too, but go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I would say don't get too high, don't get too low. Your rookie season is tough. You're playing against grown women and everyone's good. I think one of the things rookies don't realize because they come from college and sometimes WNBA games aren't on TV. Sometimes they don't know a lot of the players. And every night you're going to go and be everybody's good. I think that's one of the things when you come into the league because you don't know all the players. I remember it was a rookie last year in New York and she was to one of the vets who wasn't that known. She was you're really good. And she was we're all good. It's a WNBA. Everybody's good. And that's going to take people a step back, I think, for rookies.
No, I agree. And I'd say, to her, my second game, my rookie season was against the Detroit Shock. They had everybody that year. Never heard of Deanna Nolan before that. And I'm oh, my goodness. Sweetie's one of the best players to ever play in the W. So, I agree with that. And then just because there's only a limited amount of spots, everybody's an All-American. Everybody was that top player, that top scorer at their school. So it's almost you have to forget about college and check that ego at the door because you're just one of many. And I think a lot of rookies come in. I'm going to sound so old saying this. Kids these days, but a lot of rookies these days because they've had that social media clout for so long and they get attention much earlier that kind of plays them in a disservice when they come to the league. So it's just kind of you got to forget all that. Everybody's nice at this level, and you have to earn your spot and your respect because these players. Taurasi doesn't care that you were All-American in college. She was too. Stewie, all these players, none of that matters because everybody that 144, everybody was that in college.
I was going to say, I think Diana Taurasi said she specifically targets rookies.
It's fun for her.
It's literally fun for her. The other thing I do want to mention, I kind of touched on it before, getting a little ahead of ourselves because we're not yet at this point, but the turnaround time is always the craziest thing to me from when college basketball players stop the tournament, which could be in March, could be beginning of April. The WNBA draft happens mid-April every single year, and by the second week of May, you're right into a brand new season You're suddenly a professional athlete. You're off college campus. What is that sort of like, and how do you even prepare for that?
I just remember being like the craziest, most exhausting, fun time, like period. Like it's because it's fun. It's like it's the draft. It's we were at the Final Fours for All American stuff, and you're celebrating with your family. And both of us were lucky enough to get drafted to the Mystics, so we were home. So it was super fun. But it's a good like introduction to what your life is going to be after that. In that there's no downtime. You're going from WNBPA season to overseas. You're right when you get comfortable overseas and get adjusted, it's time to go back to the W. So like you're literally living out of a suitcase. So it's a good preparation for your life as a professional basketball player.
Yeah, it was a lot. I remember when I came out, I was drafted. I went and did like a USA basketball tour in Beijing. I came in late to camp. I was like a week late for camp because I was there, and it was just like I was just thrown into the mix. And then it's just like your rookie season's over. So it's a lot. But like Rich says, it kind of prepares you for what's ahead.
That's the wildest thing to me. Whenever I would talk to some players who had just finished their seasons and they were talking about getting drafted, they still weren't done with college. They were still taking classes after the draft. I think I talked to Lexi Brown one time, and she had said the same thing. Like, I have a test next week. I was like, you got drafted today.
I know.
So that's pretty wild.
I had to go back for graduation. I think I missed like an exhibition game because I had to graduate. Like I had like shorts underneath my robe. Like I was just like, whatever, no one's gonna see it. But yeah, things like that no one knows about.
Riss, is there anything I'm missing that you want to talk about before we get into some closings on how we think today's game will go?
Oh, you got it.
All right. Well, I think we are at the prediction portion of the show. So,
who's predicting? I feel like we're all going one way, no?
But I think we should do it based on the stars. I want to hear what you think. What numbers are going to be put up by Diamond?
Oh, that's a tough one.
And Caitlin, and I want to hear a point total, and whoever gets closest wins.
Y'all do this every week.
You start.
I have to start?
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, I guess I called this one on myself. Caitlin's gonna have a nice game. She's not gonna have a great game because there's been a lot of scouting, and Coach Freeze is not letting her drop 40 again. I think Caitlin's gonna come away with 20. It's gonna be a mediocre-ish game for her. Diamond's gonna put up the full 30, and Maryland is gonna come out with the win, obviously.
Okay.
Your guess.
Ooh, calm down. Let me give you. I'll go with Diamond for 25. I'm gonna go Caitlin for 30. Ooh. With Maryland for the win. Don't attack me, guys. Don't attack me, guys. She's averaging 27. I'm basing it off her averages.
We're keeping notes of this for after the show.
Diamond's averaging 20. I'm going off that.
Okay, you're a math person right now. I guess.
You said no one ever, but okay.
Lang?
Okay, all right. I'm gonna go with Caitlin's gonna have like 23, but she's gonna go for like 7 for 23. Look, it's gonna be like a bad shooting percentage to get the 23,
okay,
right?
Okay.
And then Diamond, I'm gonna say Diamond has 23 too. I'm gonna go with 23 for both of them.
Okay.
And we win.
We're gonna remember this for the next show and find out who's closest. We have a little bit of time left, and obviously we are so happy to see all of you guys here, and I'm surrounded by two of the greats. So if anybody has any questions for either Lang or Marissa, this would be a nice time to come ask it.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy, please. Anybody got anything? Sure.
Besides conducting all these interviews and your talk show here, what each of you are doing now outside of this? Take a go for your retired from?
Yes.
We are both retired. I work for a startup company in the sports betting industry called Gaming Society. So C in the Lobby is under the Gaming Society umbrella. And Matt is our head of editorial. He is a great writer and loves women's basketball. You should actually follow our Bet on Women newsletter.
Please. If that's the one thing we can get y'all to do.
Specifically, not specifically, but we do talk a lot about the W in college basketball. Not just saying this because he's right next to me, but Matt is a great writer, adds some humor and comedy to it, so I would definitely say check that out.
And I'm being told by the producer, make sure to repeat the question so people can hear it. So the question was asking what Marissa and Lang now do after retirement. So go ahead, Lang.
I work for the Seattle Storm. I work remote, so I'm still based here in DC. I go back and forth to Seattle, so I run our social justice platform, Force for Change. So I manage all our initiatives within that space. So that's what I'm doing now.
In the back.
Young daughter who's just getting into basketball. Any words of wisdom or advice you wish you had gotten when you were first starting out?
So the question is asking for his daughter any words of wisdom from Marissa and Lang. Marissa, do you want to start?
I can start. I'd say words of wisdom first is to have fun. I see the way like AAU basketball and everything's going. I feel like so much of the fun is sucked out of it. I'd say one, just have fun, and two, just be ready to make the sacrifices. And trust me, it's worth it in the end. I remember when I was 10, when I wrote my dad a letter, told him I wanted to be the best basketball player, and I wanted to go to University of Tennessee. I was 10. Clearly didn't make that mistake. But at the time, University of Tennessee, if you got to go to Tennessee, that was the pinnacle of women's basketball. But he asked me, he's like, do you know what sacrifices you're going to have to make, and you know how much hard work it's going to take? And all the sacrifices I made to get to this point are worth it. I don't remember the parties I missed, the weekends with friends. I don't remember any of that. But I remember winning that banner. Like all of that is worth it. So I just say, like, if it's something that you truly love, make the sacrifices now, and it'll be worth it in the end.
I completely agree with what you said, Riz. I'm all about having fun, but I always say you have to work really hard. You don't want to cut any corners. I know we live in a society where everything happens so instantly, but like anything you do, anything you want to be successful, you have to put the work in. There aren't shortcuts to things that you want to be like a good anything in life. Anything good, it takes work. It can't come fast. So I would say work hard and still try to have fun while doing it.
As former college superstars, what are your thoughts on transfer?
The question was asking about the transfer portal. That's why we
Let me
got
roll up my sleeves.
Here we go.
You want to start, Lang?
I'll start. Okay. The transfer portal, it's different. I feel like players should have the opportunity to make decisions. I think it's tough when these are young people making these decisions sometimes. And I think sometimes people might be too rash in their decision making. I think it really needs to be thought out, because I know there have been transfers. I'm like, yeah, you should have transferred. But there's a lot of transfers where I'm like, what are you doing? You're just hopping from place to place. So I just really think if you're considering transferring, it needs to be really thought out. And I don't think everyone's thinking it through.
I agree with what she said. I think the only thing I add is it's giving such an easy way out. It's making it easy to quit. I remember especially after your freshman year, like your freshman year is not supposed to be easy. Her and I were lucky in that we came in and we were able to contribute right away, but that's not the norm. And I remember after my first strength and conditioning session, my freshman year, calling my mom, honest stories, like, Mom, I don't think I can do this. Like, it was the hardest thing ever. But my parents were going to say, stick with it. This is the commitment you made. You have to give it time. So I just think it gives people an easy way out. And I agree with what she said. It just, one thing doesn't work, then you go. And then you see people transfer to multiple schools. At that point, it's not the school, it's you.
Any more questions?
As former players, you guys go to a lot of games. You said you watch the games. How hard is it to disconnect, to be a spectator, rather than
Listen,
The question is about how to be a spectator.
Run out here
it's easy for me, which is I was able to, even like when I used to watch games while playing, you're looking at plays, I can kind of watch basketball for enjoyment. I can just watch it. I can break it down if I need to, or I can, which some people can't, once you play basketball, you have to look at the plays, look at the sets they're running. But I can just enjoy basketball for what it is, and I don't miss playing anymore, which is great, which shows I've played long enough where I don't miss it, so I can just enjoy the game. Sometimes I watch warm-ups and I'm like, I can't believe I used to be doing that. Like, it's totally different now.
There's times I can watch it for enjoyment, and then there's other times I think I do, like, it's from the athlete's perspective. Like him and I were talking about NBA All-Star Weekend this past weekend and the draft that they did before the game, and he loved it, and I was the opposite. I was like, that was miserable. Like, I could only make it through the first 3 picks, and then I turned it off. I was like, because I think I was looking at that not from like a fan's perspective, but just like as an athlete, like having to sit there and do this and then play the game. But I think also Lang just has a great basketball mind. Like, we tell her all the time in our group chat she needs to be a GM. So I think she's able to just kind of look at it and from enjoyment, but she's still like picking up on all that sometimes.
Any other questions? Sure.
Yes. Brittany Griner just returned and started working out this week. What do you think about her return, and how do you think she'll do?
The question was about Brittany Griner's return to the WNBA.
She could average 0 points a game, and I would be like just ecstatic. She's back here, and you know she and was able to endure. So honestly, I have no expectations for her on the court. I mean, she's a great player, so I'm assuming she's going to do well. But just happy that she's back and that she, you know, even wants to play. Because I couldn't imagine enduring that and just having the mental capacity to even think about playing basketball.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really happy that she's home. I was so relieved when she came back. I was like, oh my gosh, thank God. I felt like it was like a weight just from the basketball community. It was just like a lot with her still being there because we've all been in that situation where we've been overseas. So it was just like, this happened to like someone it was just a lot to see. And I'm just happy she's back playing too.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, our whole community, we've all been through, like, traveling through Russia, know, like, it's intense. You could just be handing your passport over, knowing there, and have nothing else, not even a bag on you, and you're just scared because it's a very intimidating environment to be on. But I'm glad it brought just awareness to what we do as women basketball players in general, just because going overseas is not easy. And I remember somebody asked me a question in an interview I did, and they said, like, do you think if it was LeBron, he'd be back already? I said LeBron would never be in that situation. He would never have to go supplement his income and play in Russia. So that's a horrible comparison because he would never have to be in that situation.
Any other questions from anybody? Sure.
Speaking of Brittany Griner situation, why aren't more WNBA players boycotting Russia? I understand the salary situation, but why are more players boycotting Russia?
I'll answer that.
Okay, go ahead.
The question was about why
Okay.
WNBA players aren't boycotting Russia.
I think it was their leader who made that decision. I think you can't boycott a whole country because of what someone did. That would compare to someone would say, I don't agree with what, our old president was doing, so we're going to boycott America a little bit in my mind. So I think I played in Russia. There's a lot of good people in Russia too. The ownership from Ekaterinburg, where Brittany Griner was playing, they're great people as well. So I don't want people to look at Russia. Yes, it was a terrible situation for Brittany Griner, but that wasn't everyone that made that decision, that put her in that situation.
And I was like, to my knowledge, I don't think anybody's there this year.
Yeah.
Nobody's.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's there.
To my knowledge, I don't think anybody is there this year. And just to piggyback on what she said, the team in Ekaterinburg that BG was on, they are treated like royalty. Like, they fly private, they live in beautiful homes. So, it wasn't the women's basketball community in Russia is much different than Russia as a whole.
It was just an unfortunate incident with who leads their country, the person who leads their country.
We got time for one more question.
I think so.
Sure.
Obviously, the story for them right now is the Aces and the Liberty. You guys got any hot takes on super teams in the W this year?
The question was about hot takes on super teams in the W, with the Aces and the Liberty obviously being the top two.
I am gonna not answer. I work for the Storm, so I'm gonna mind my business on that. They got that answer.
Oh, I'm here for it. I think what you saw this free agency was great for the W. you had people that probably had never tuned in before. Like, where's Stewie gonna go? What's going, like, the Candace Parker to the Aces? I think it brought a lot of attention to the league that we normally wouldn't get. And I'm excited to see those teams compete against each other. I'm here for it. I think it's going to be great basketball. I think it's going to do great for the league. And taking it a step further, I think what the two owners have done in New York and Vegas are going to force other owners to invest in their teams. Granted, not everybody has the resources that those two billionaires do, but there are owners in the league that don't do enough. And now if you want to compete and you want to build your team, you're going to have to actually invest in the team. So I'm excited because it's going to force a lot of change amongst other ownership.
And
You sure you don't want anything?
Are there any reason why you don't want to?
You want me to say what I know what you're going to say?
No, I don't want you to say. I'm gonna stay
Is there a
quiet on that
particular?
one.
Anyway, we're gonna have to end the show there. Thank you guys so much for coming
Thank
out.
you guys.
Thank you.
Oh yes. Also, before everyone leaves too, please, it would mean the most if y'all helped us following us on our social accounts and also our newsletter. If you go to thegamingsociety.com, you can sign up for the Bet on Women newsletter that I help write. A lot of content from Marissa comes there as well. And follow us on social. It's called Gaming Society on Twitter, Gaming Society on Instagram, Gaming Society on YouTube. And then our show specifically is called See You in the Lobby. If you are on TikTok, that is the place to follow us. Thank you guys so much. Seriously.
No, really, thank you guys so much. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.